Mr. Matthew Lene, who from Silent Aid, who are one of our main partners. Matthew, we enjoy working with you. Um, we've worked with you twice already this year on various projects, and it's a pleasure to have you again on this platform to share your thoughts on how artificial intelligence could be relevant for the surging digital economy in Africa. Thank you, and I hand over to you now, Matthew.
Thank you, Adam, so much. It's great. It's great to be back here with you guys again. Always a pleasure. I think there's actually quite a lot of parallels with what Matthew was just saying about blockchain, in the sort of the trust and the credibility and transparency of artificial intelligence. I only have a couple of slides. Would love to take some questions. So yeah, we're talking about artificial intelligence and how it can help a digital economy, especially with regards to financial crime. Who are you doing business with? Are they someone you should be doing business with? If they are there additional steps you might want to put in place to protect yourself? Globally, financial crime is an absolutely enormous problem. If it were to be converted into GDP, it would be the 8th biggest economy in the world. So $2.4 trillion gets made through illicit activities every year, and these are, you know, the worst things that we do to each other as human beings. It's trafficking, it's drugs, it's weapons, and the challenge for these bad people is they need to interact with the financial system so they can do stuff with their awfully gained money. And as you can see, it's a lot. It's nearly the size of the economy of France. The challenge is, as a planet and as a community, we're not doing that well in combating. We're spending a lot of money. We spend just under $200 billion a year as a planet on fighting financial crime. That is technology, that is people, that is everything in between, $200 billion a year. And the challenge is we only get 1%. So we only really catch about 1% of that 2.4 trillion. All the rest flows through undetected. So I think in setting this up, if you look at 2.4 trillion, you spend 200 billion and you catch 1%, I think it's fair to say the status quo isn't really working. And that's where artificial intelligence can change the game completely in our favor as the people who want to stop this, who want to run businesses and make loans and take deposits and help families and businesses grow and develop. We want to focus on that, and we want to keep the criminals out. So how can AI actually help with that? The first thing is, what is AI? There are two real parts to AI. One is the sort of the automation part, which is the precision and the consistency of currently human performed tasks. But there's also the other part of the human experience, which is the ingenuity and the creativity and all of the wonderful things that human beings do above the sort of mundane repetition of tasks. And AI does both. How does it help with counter-terrorist financing and anti-money laundering? Let's go through. So precision. Actually, human beings aren't a great tool to catch financial criminals. We get tired, we get distracted, we might not always listen to every single part of the training. Even if we are not tired and we have listened to everything, we're not always completely consistent. We're just not. That's not who we are as a species. AI, on the other hand, is always precise and always consistent. If you think about AI in this context, think about it like your best self. Your relationships are in a wonderful position. If you follow a sports team, they just beat their rival, you had a great night's sleep, you had a healthy breakfast, and you just had your coffee. This is what an AI can do 24/7. Always perfect, always catching criminals, and doing it at a capacity that is previously unthought of. A human being can process about 60 customers a day, checking who they are and can we onboard them or can we keep them as customers within our financial institution. Our AI can do about 2 million, so that's more. What that means is you can check more customers. You can be more detailed. Checking more customers and being more detailed is how we start to go up from this 1% performance to 2, 3, 5, 10, right? The difference from 1 to 10%, and 10% obviously is still horrific, is hundreds of billions of dollars that are now no longer worth being made as a criminal because you can't use them. So there is a real societal benefit to this endeavor, as well as being able to focus on the people you want to focus on, the families and the small businesses, the large businesses that are trying to move forward in their personal economies. One fear that people always have of artificial intelligence is that it just does stuff and you don't know why. Good artificial intelligence is completely explainable and says, the reason I made this decision on this customer is because of this. Just like you would expect a human being to do. It's not enough to get the answer. You have to show the workings out. Good artificial intelligence is also supervised so that human beings are in complete control of everything it does. That doesn't weaken the artificial intelligence. Like any advanced tool, it is best when actually in concert with human beings because we have different skill sets. At Silent 8, we use artificial intelligence to do a combination of things. So on the right-hand side, you have the sort of customer interactions that we can help with. That's customer onboarding, so the first time you meet a new customer. That's checking your existing customers to make sure nothing's changed, and then checking every wire or every transaction, every payment that comes into or leaves a firm to see who it's going to and is that okay. What do we check against? Well, sanctions, politically exposed people. Do you have to be careful? Is there some relationship here that might jeopardize or throw into concern any sort of freedom from bias or undue influence? Would any media around this person cause a PR problem for your institution if they were to be a customer? And then most institutions will have internal do not do business or exit lists. So if you think about the AI, what it will do is check exactly who you're in relationship with, whether within your firm or sending or receiving wires to your firm. And is there anything about them you need to know about? Are they on a sanctions list? Are they connected to a politician? Have they done something in their past that might cause you embarrassment if they were a customer? And surface that risk to you to make decisions. Yes, they might be related to a politically exposed person, but actually that's quite a junior person and they have no influence on our banking industry or any other sort of parts of our industry. So actually that's okay. Those are the human being decisions that work best when augmented with AI doing all of the work to find all the information. So that's what we do at scale with perfect precision and perfect consistency. So you will never, ever have to worry about, is there some customer that you onboarded 5 years ago where maybe your policies weren't where they need to be and you don't have the resources to go back and check? AI will basically do this in real time every day, perpetually. So you will always know any changes from your entire network, not just your customers, whether they be individuals or firms, but also everyone they're doing business with, sending or receiving wires from. You'll understand all of those people as well. So you have an awful lot of protection. Last thing I would say, artificial intelligence is quite an emotive phrase. I imagine everyone on this call has some bias about how they feel about artificial intelligence. Lots of people start on the left, which is the Terminator Skynet sort of experience or interpretation of artificial intelligence, that you can't control it. It will do anything it wants. It's unaccountable to anyone. There's no human in the loop checking and how to make sure it's aligned with policies. That is actually an outdated view of where AI currently is. Actually, I'm sure you've heard the nursery rhyme Goldilocks, the porridge is just right. AI, when done properly, like we do at Silent 8, is actually right in the middle. It's not hot or too cold, it's just right. So it can be very precise, but not rigid. It can have incredible capacity and speed, but also have precision. It can apply global policies with regional variations. It can be extremely complex, but also give you complete explained solutions. So my challenge to those of you who've graciously given 10 minutes of your time to share with us is think about AI as an ally. Think about what AI could create, the opportunities it could create. What would it mean for your business if you could screen every customer in more detail more often? We think it could create tremendous value for you, both from a cost save and a reduced risk perspective. And thank you for the chance to spend some time with you. Adam, back over to you.
Thank you, Matthew. There's a question for you. It says that what's the false positive rate in your AI app?
Okay, well, the false positive rate is determined by the institution and the types of customers they have relationships with, right? So if you have more relationships in higher risk jurisdictions, you're going to get more true positives, right? So what the AI does is just applies your rules to your customers. So let's say you only have business domestically in a country that doesn't have any relationships with sanctions. You're going to get a false positive rate of, 98, 99%. The false positive rate you currently have as a bank will be the exact same false positive rate you have with Silent 8. The difference will be we'll do all the work for you improving them. So you won't have to employ people to do that. Like I said, people is about 60 a day. We do 2 million a day. So we will do all your false positives for you, explain why they're false positives, and then put them in your archive so that you can check them whenever you want. But the proportion of false positives to trues won't change because our AI is run on your business policies, which already exist. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. I know we talked about this earlier on another platform when we held the International Financial Crime webinar. And we were able to draw a direct link between illicit financial flows, financial crimes, and poverty and lack of development on the continent of Africa. So I think that your presentation today is very important and something that I'm very happy that we brought on as part of today's presentation because today's program, because as we look at the digital economy and what it could do for Africa, it's also important to look at the risks of not properly securing the digital economy and the negative impact it could have on Africa. And that is where I think AI could play a key role in securing our gains and ensuring that we do not shoot ourselves in the foot as we grow the digital economy. So thank you for your presentation. And I don't know if there are more questions for you, but I hope you'll be with us to answer them as and when they pop up. Our next presentation will be by Uche. Uche is a blockchain engineer. So we're going to hear a little bit more about blockchain and how it can be applied in the area of digital identity in Africa. So we're still on the path of getting deeper into the applications, some digital economy applications that could be relevant for the continent. Uche, I'll hand over to you now. Thank you, and please proceed.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam, for the introduction. Can everyone hear me? It's really nice hearing from Matthew about blockchain and the token economy. I think it's really amazing, the potential of blockchain, especially in the area of tokenization. So for my presentation, I'm going to be talking about blockchain and digital identity and how Africa can benefit from digital identity systems that provide self-sovereignty and other values to users. So I'm going to be comparing what we're doing here in Canada and some blockchain use cases in Africa that I've seen. So like Adam mentioned, I'm a blockchain engineer, and I'm also the founder of Africa Hacks. But before I start, I'm going to start with a story. So imagine that every time you wanted to buy a car, or if you're renting a car, you needed to redo your driver's test every time. So let's say you bought a new car, or you want to rent a car. If you're made to redo your driver's test, I think that would be pretty tedious, right? But today, that's actually what happens in many countries in Africa. So if I was applying for a new bank account, I have to fill lots of forms. If I was going to a new clinic, I have to fill new forms every time. And it's very frustrating for users, because if I have my information already stored in a government database, why do I need to provide this information and also do additional verification every time that I want to get a new service? So this problem is something that is very huge, and blockchain has the potential to really solve it. So this is, let's call her Christine. She is a student, and she wants to apply for a bank account, her first bank account, despite the fact that she has a birth registration when she was born, and she has lots of information about her out there. When she wants to apply for a new bank account, she has to fill all of these long forms. In Nigeria, for example, she needs to apply for a new bank verification number, and you have to do that in person in a bank, submit your fingerprints, and all of that. So this is very frustrating for Christine, and I believe that should change. And I'm going to share some insights about how we can use blockchain to really change this digital identity process, and how this can move the African economy forward. So in Nigeria, for example, the government has been working on a digital identity platform that has taken over 6 years to deploy. Although it's not just a technical issue, it's also a business and policy issue also. But with blockchain, that could have been maybe reduced. And also this leads to to zero trust. So for example, in Nigeria and also some other African countries, we can't accept pay-per payment. And that's partly because of lack of digital identity. Because if there was a good digital identity system, then we will be able to have credit reports that can be trusted by entities globally. And also there will be a way to easily enforce a breach of contracts and things like that. And then it even affects the government, for example, right? Because if you don't know your citizens, how would you even get the tax from them? So this really reduces the amount of revenue that is being generated by the government. So with blockchain, all of this can change. And my presentation today will kind of shed some light on some things that have been done in Canada and some companies in Nigeria, in Africa that are actually doing an amazing job in tackling this digital identity problem. Okay, so I believe that blockchain, it's a revolution, right? Because we've had lots of revolutions come and go. We had the first industrial revolution, which was steam-based machines. We had the second industrial revolution, the third industrial revolution, and then the fourth industrial revolution. Matthew spoke about AI and the potential of AI for reducing fraud and for AML and KYC processes. And that's part of the fourth industrial revolution. Notice that blockchain is foundational to this revolution, right? Because if we're able to know people that we're working with, we have a proper digital identity system, then all of the other technologies will be able to work properly. And even with AI and data science, there are some use cases of blockchain where scientists have generated lots of genome samples for research, but we want to control the access to those information. Blockchain was used there to serve as a role-based access control system, right? So that's kind of the power of blockchain in enabling this fourth industrial revolution. So Matthew also talked about blockchain, and he introduced the concept of blockchain. And I'm not going to go into too much details about the introduction, but the way I see blockchain is that it revolutionizes the way we store and share data. And that's because it's flexible, it's secure, it's auditable, it's decentralized. All of those good stuff about blockchain are why the technology is so powerful. And that's why we don't want to reinvent the wheel. If we want all of these benefits in like a government system that we're looking to build, if we want transparency, if we want auditability, then why build on a system that you have to do additional work in building all of these features when you already have them built into blockchain by nature? So the Harvard Business Review mentioned something very interesting. I believe this was in 2017. They said that blockchain has the potential to create new foundations for our economy and social systems. And we've seen this today, right? So in 2017, when this statement was made, blockchain was still being adopted, but now we've seen blockchain being deployed by lots of governments and also companies. In Canada, there are a couple of use cases I'm going to share, and even how blockchain was used to power the sharing of relief from the government to citizens during COVID-19. So I'm going to share that use case. Okay, so let's move on now to like some of the use cases of blockchain. So these are just some of the benefits of blockchain. I'm not really going to go into all of the details of this. Matthew already covered them. And these are two use cases of blockchain. One of them is in Africa, and then the other one is in North America. So this company, I did a research on them. They are building a blockchain digital identity ecosystem for flexible, verifiable credentials. And what they've done is they used a technology that is open source and made it possible for anyone to have a verifiable credential, and any government anywhere in the world can issue a credential that is verifiable by a wallet that uses open standards. So what this means is that you don't have to worry about being locked in to any vendor, right? Because you're using a technology that is developed by the World Wide Web Consortium, which is an open movement. And this company has used that technology to really develop wallets, issuers, and verifiers that enable us to issue verifiable credentials. And I think it's a very interesting concept that they've done. And anyone in Ghana, in Nigeria, or in any other country can look at their code. It's on GitHub, it's open source also. And also you can look at the verifiable credential standards and see how that can apply to some of the blockchain use cases that you're looking to build. I think it's very interesting. And then in North America, here in Canada, SecureKey is doing also very good with building solutions that enable seamless sharing of verifiable credentials. So they've worked with the government of Canada, the US, and other countries to provide credentials that are verifiable on the blockchain. So I'm just going to go deeper into like what's been done here in Canada, and also I would share a use case in Africa also. So like I mentioned, SecureKey has a product called verified.me, and what it does is that it allows anyone to pull their health record. So remember I mentioned in the onset that if I wanted to open a bank account, I needed to like fill out new forms and all of those processes. Right, but with what's being done here in Canada, it's very seamless and easy for anyone to just use their phone. You unlock your health record. You can see your health record in real time. And then if you're moving from one doctor to the other, the doctor just has to request your health record, and you receive a notification on your phone. You authorize that health record to be shared by the doctor, and that's it, right? You don't have to worry about the physician having to request those health record manually, all of those long processes. So all of it is being done on blockchain, and this is what blockchain and digital identity has the potential to power. And a use case I think is very, very interesting is what was done during the COVID-19 lockdown, also here in Canada. So there was lots of relief and funding that the government needed to distribute to people previously, the use cases was you have to go to the bank or to the government office to receive or sign for this form. But with blockchain, we're able to really make it possible for anyone to sign in using their existing bank account. So if I had a bank account, I can easily get a credential or a license from that bank account, and that license that I own, I can share it with the government agency, and that government agency can trust that I am the one that is requesting for that fund. And all they need to do is to send those funds to my account within a few hours. So this is kind of the power of blockchain, and we're seeing it in real time already, right? So the quote by the Harvard Business Review that blockchain has the potential to revolutionize the way we do business, it's already true today. And I think in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, and lots of other countries, there's a potential for us to leverage this technology to offer digital identity systems that are beneficial to clients. And the company I mentioned earlier, Flex IT, the one I mentioned earlier, they're based in Zimbabwe. They're already doing something cool for Africa, and they are using an open source platform which anyone can build on. So if you are looking to really build digital identity for your government, for maybe your institution, or for your company, you should definitely look at verifiable credentials and the standards that the verifiable credentials offers. So what I'll propose, and the approach I'll propose to make this happen, is something I'm calling BioBlock ID. So this is a concept that I came up with to kind of describe the ideal digital identity platform for Africa. So it's a combination of biometrics and also blockchain to offer a tamper-proof, self-sovereign digital identity for citizens. So imagine that someone in a small town or village in Nigeria, for example, or in Ghana, they don't have access to the internet, right? But they need to be able to interact with banking systems. They need to be able to get government relief. They need to be able to get loans and things like that. With a concept like BioBlock ID, once they're onboarded, their information will be connected to their feature phone, and via SMS, they will be able to also unlock the use of their information. So that's what we want to achieve in Africa. We want to be inclusive with the digital identity systems that we build. We want to build solutions that don't just support those that have smartphones already. We want to build solutions that are inclusive, and I think that with a concept with this BioBlock ID, combination of biometrics and blockchain, and also with SMS, that would really be powerful to see some use cases of that. So I already described this, and it's a concept that I am really passionate about. And if anyone wants to chat about it, we can chat about it. Okay, so these are just some of the benefits of the BioBlock ID concept that I described. It has the potential of enabling housing for all in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So what this means is that mortgage and lending options will be freely available, and that's because everyone has access to verifiable credentials that are connected to their biometrics information that also allow them to interact with these systems via SMS or via USSD or via smartphones for those who have smartphones. And also it reduces the processing time. So what we've seen here in Canada, for example, is that it's one of the solutions that was deployed at the Royal Bank of Canada. It actually saved them $33 million annually in customer onboarding, right? Because previously they had to do lots of back office KYC processes and also comply with AML regulations, because if you wanted to open an account, you need to apply as a new user, despite the fact that you probably have an account in a different line of business at the same bank. But with this blockchain solution, when you have an account, all you need to do is to share your information with the new line of business. And since that information is verified and it's on the blockchain, there's no need for you to do KYC. So that's a solution actually saved them $33 million annually. And then another benefit of this BioBlock ID concept is it also enables employment and job creation. So we see today the adoption of remote working across the world and even in Africa. We see lots of companies from other countries looking to hire Africans, but sometimes there's no way to know like the verifiable work history of those potential employees. And there's no way to hold them accountable for actions that they perform, right? With this concept, the BioBlock ID concept, once you're onboarding on this blockchain, then we're able to provide history of your employment in a way that is verified, and the employer can trust that information is really true. And then finally, citizen safety. So citizen safety is truly important for economic advancement, right? Because if citizens feel safe, there's an opportunity for them to innovate. And also there's also an opportunity for foreign investments and investors coming into the continent to invest. So with a system like BioBlock ID, we also know and are able to track crimes by people, and we're also able to provide some insight about what the crime rate for each city or area is right on the blockchain itself. So this BioBlock ID concept, I really think it has a lot of potential for a lot of African countries, and I'm really happy to chat about it with anyone that wants to learn more about what I'm thinking and about kind of the proposal I have. So if you have any question, now will be the right time to ask. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really excited to listen to the other speakers and to learn more from all of you.
Thank you very much, Uche. We'll go straight to Kwame because Kwame, I understand, has another engagement that is looming. So we'll take questions after that. But Kwame, jump straight at it.
Thank you very much. My name is Kwame Opong with Bank of Ghana, Head of FinTech and Innovation. This has been a very interesting conversation so far, and I'm very inspired and encouraged hearing what. So from a Bank of Ghana standpoint, we've been looking at how to enable this space going back some time now. And as part of our work, we continue to realize the need to collaborate with different stakeholders within the space, including NITA and Ministry of Communication, the different agencies within government, such as the Data Protection Commission. So I'm very happy to hear that these are all issues that have been raised by participants and previous speakers. From our standpoint, I think this whole conversation about a digital economy, even at a time where the World Bank was conceiving the concept of the digital economy, one of the primary drivers of that conversation was also digital financial services. I think it was the digital financial services conversation was a precursor to the development of the digital economy for Africa. And you will observe actually some similarities between that document that Ministry of Finance commissioned and what the DE4A captured as a broader concept for transforming the entire economy. So as a central bank and as a regulator of the payments and financial services space, there are several things that we are looking at to be able to also contribute in helping advance this agenda. So digital financial services, entails different things, which is looking at, fortunately, we're in a market where we're seeing these things happen already, right? So mobile money, payments and financial technology service providers are partnering with banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions to provide savings, to provide pensions, so pension companies involved, credit, investment, and even some very innovative models around energy. So in this case, you look at Hego solar offerings that are currently on the market that are both allowing people to be able to access off-grid power for their light and energy needs, while at the same time, the transactions are going towards building a financial transactional history with which a lender can actually extend credit to them. Insurance, we've seen varied insurance products out there. In pensions, we've seen some pension products such as My Pensions, etc., which is also payment service providers in partnership with pensions companies. And so what we see is, from a regulatory standpoint, there's a need to coordinate and collaborate amongst ourselves to enable innovators, get some of these things well prepared, ensure that it's safe, and put out there so customers can actually benefit from it while we take everyone on this journey. The key enablers for digital economy, particularly for the digital financial services element, there are a few things in there. And this is a generic guidance as to how you approach these things. So in our country, for instance, what we're looking at is first establishing digital identity, which we had the opportunity of having the Ghana National Card, in addition to the Ghana National Digital Property Addressing System, the Ghana Post GPS from Ghana Post. And I think the combination of this gives us the basis of identifying individuals, both citizens and non-citizens, who are within our jurisdiction. Second is digital content. So issues are being raised and the conversation has gone into areas such as how I access my health records, how I access my financial information. Can I have the ability to port that information, quote unquote, to another financial services provider and benefits from that portability? How do I access it? For instance, to be able to prove to either a government or private agency certain documentation such as school records, etc. So these are things that are effectively on a second layer of consideration. And then of course you have digital payment, which is important for us to consider if we're to drive a digital economy. And as a key enabler, you would observe over the past 2 years, at least since interoperability was launched, that there have been slight changes here and there, and some continued efforts in the whole ecosystem to find ways of bringing other players on board as well, to ensure that there's seamlessness in transaction across platforms, whether bank, mobile money, or even payment service providers. Now that the payment service providers are being licensed, they have the opportunity to also connect into the interbank platform and benefit from GH-Link, GHQR, etc. Now, this only is available, by the way, to the enhanced license category holders. Others are able to connect or benefit from running transactions through the national switch and schemes by connecting through enhanced payment service providers. And then, of course, you have digital authorization. So this cuts across from eKYC to other creative authentication methods, such as collaborative due diligence enabled authentication methods. But the whole idea is if a service provider is going to start delivering services to people remotely, and if I as a consumer would be able to now receive these services remotely, then I should also be able to validate and authorize transactions remotely without having to show up at a physical location. How do you go about this in a safe and legal manner within the framework of the existing law, and where necessary, the ensuing legal enhancement? So these are the things that are being looked at. These are active things that the central bank is working with various partners to ensure that we have in place. So our primary goal, I would capture in these four key next steps. The first one is to ensure that we have an enabling regulatory framework. So we passed a new law sometime last year and is currently being implemented. And the law basically is looking at how to also bring the fintechs into the regulated space. So they have the cover of the central bank. There's the assurance that consumers can have, knowing that the entities who are providing services are duly and thoroughly assessed to determine that they do not pose any risk to either consumers or to the sector. But at the same time, also be proportionate in how we do this so that we don't stifle innovation. So we've taken a risk-based and proportionate approach to regulating the sector, and that would be the spirit that would guide how we do this going forward. Also, some supportive policies will be very useful in how we approach the overall digital financial service ecosystem. So as you may have heard, the central bank is exploring things such as the ECD, which is a central bank digital currency. And that is an ongoing pilot that is being explored. In addition to that, there are other things that I think participants in this space are familiar with, including policies that address challenges with eKYC, policies that are going to make it simpler for merchant payments to be enabled within the market, and including issues relating to customer protection as well, and consumer protection as well. So these are all supportive policies we're putting in place to ensure that the market, both demand side actors and consumers as well, together with the supply side actors, such as service providers, are all operating within a safe ecosystem. And then, of course, we are exploring, in collaboration with several government agencies and private sector agencies, ways to make sure the national ID, the Ghana card, has significant utility for not just consumers, but the ecosystem overall, so that it's easy for us to be able to authenticate transactions, to authenticate ourselves, and make it our single source of truth to say, this is who I am, and by that, we're able to establish identities. This is also important for us in our fight against fraud. And whether it's mobile money fraud, whether it's fraud in the financial sector in general, I think being able to leverage the biometric national ID has significant benefits for us. Finally, I would also highlight that I think most people have assumed that interoperability is something that, after enabling transactions across wallets peer-to-peer, that is where we would be ending. That's actually not the case. We are looking at full extent of seamlessly implementing interoperability. So you may have seen that after the peer-to-peer interoperability, there's also been that's mobile money wallet to mobile money wallet. There's also been the interoperability between accounts, that's bank accounts, and mobile money wallets. And there are several use cases that are currently being looked at and worked on assiduously arduously by the Ghana Interbank Payments and Settlement Systems, and all key stakeholders, including banks and mobile money operators. So I just wanted to have this quick presentation to assure stakeholders of the commitments of the central bank in terms of policy, in terms of regulation, in terms of support and promoting the idea of a digital economy through enabling digital financial services, because we do recognize very, very well the benefits that it brings to the country, the benefits it gives to citizens, the benefits it gives to businesses, and to us as a central bank as well. So thank you very much. This was brief, but hopefully the messaging is clear and comforting to the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kwame. The mobile interoperability platform is particularly very interesting, especially what you talked about when you described the next stage, which will be interoperability between mobile phones and bank accounts. I think these are exciting times for the digital economy in Ghana and in Africa, and I would be very happy if some of our audience from across the continent will share with us if they have any examples of such interoperability projects being carried out in other African countries. In Ghana, I know we are very far advanced, and I think the rest of Africa could follow up suit. So if it's happening in your country, drop us a message, let's talk about it. If it's about to begin or it's on the drawing board, perhaps we can share experiences. Our next presentation will be we have 3 more to go, and we are going to call now on a very experienced expert in the field of the digital economy with several years of professional hands-on experience, Mr. Richard Labelle. Richard, are you with us? Can you hear me? I'd like to hand over.
Yes, Adam. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes.
You can hear me as well. Take it, right?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just going to get my presentation going. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And just to confirm, Well, thanks so much. Yes, I've worked extensively on digital economy, innovation, science and technology issues in Africa and beyond for a variety of different agencies. My focus is on international applications. I've worked extensively across Africa, and most recently I've been working with, although I'm no longer doing so, I've been working with the African Development Bank in Abidjan on issues related to innovation and entrepreneurship in Africa. And what I'd like to do today is just to briefly go over some of the key aspects of digital economy entrepreneurship in Africa by focusing on 3 areas where I think the digital economy opportunities are to be found in an African context. What is the status of digital economy entrepreneurship in Africa? And I'll borrow extensively from the work of others on this matter. And then finally, why is e-commerce in particular a significant opportunity for African entrepreneurs and traders? Let's just look at the digital economy opportunities in a broad sense from an entrepreneurship perspective. So there's really 2 aspects to this slide. One is what are the use cases and what are some of the enabling factors that are attracting entrepreneurship and investment, especially from venture capitalists and other forms of enterprise investors in these sectors. So we're familiar with, for example, what's happening in terms of business and government and business using ICT for enhanced service delivery. But we're also seeing in Africa, especially at the local and community level, an adoption of technology as a result of greater connectivity. So women, as a result of greater connectivity, have access to jobs, more ready access to jobs, young people in general, finance, education, and so on. That just contributes to gender equity. Financial inclusion is a major aspect of increased penetration of payment services, largely as a result of increased penetration of mobile applications, mobile money in particular. And when it comes to entrepreneurship support, there is a very strong and ongoing ground level sort of support for innovation and entrepreneurship support through business incubation, tech hubs of various sorts across the continent. I'll come back to that in a second. But the really big opportunity, in my opinion, for the digital economy, and especially when it comes to entrepreneurs, is when it comes to buy and sell and transactions. So that's e-commerce and transaction systems. And roughly there's really 3 areas: governance and transaction systems per se. We've heard about DLT from settlement. There's other application areas: regulation, technology. We're familiar with payment and credit systems, financial tech, financial services, fintech, mobile money, and so on. And of particular interest to entrepreneurs and to governments in general are the rising importance of trading platforms in terms of marketplaces, online shops, and e-procurement. And on the right-hand side, of course, the facilitating factors, recent 4IR technologies, of which we've already heard, both in terms of AI and DLT, blockchain. But there's others that have got highly significant applications as well. The Internet of Things, data analytics. And then, of course, we can't forget enabling policies. At least 10 countries in Africa have got startup acts that are focused on really supporting the entrepreneurship environment. And then, of course, enabling business environment. The Africa Free Trade, Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement has immense potential for enhancing e-commerce and opportunities for entrepreneurs in that space. Opportunities which, in my opinion, have not been sufficiently taken advantage of. So let's take a look at the ecosystem per se in Africa from a tech perspective. Where is digital economy being felt? And this information comes from Brighter Bridges. We'll just go there quickly to take a look at the Brighter Bridges information. Brighter Bridges is a startup based in Europe with extensive work being done in Africa, where they've done analysis of the extent to which the digital economy is being developed. So here we have, for example, an image of the startups in the digital economy in the health sector. If we go down, there's in gaming and entertainment, 60 plus startups, and so on. And we'll just go back to the presentation accordingly. Let me just do that right now. So again, this is just a list, and you can take a look at this in the shared PowerPoint presentation, which will be available after the presentation. One area of particular interest is in tech hubs, so-called tech hubs. There's an estimate of about 643, and these are various other sectors in which the digital economy is being expressed from an entrepreneurial perspective. Now, one of the major ways of tracking digital economy entrepreneurship is to look at investment. And this screen shows investment from venture capitalists. So it's a particular type of investment, and it doesn't capture all of the investment that's coming into Africa from let's say, investors interested in supporting startups. Most of this information here is in relationship to later stage startups and growth or high growth startups. But nevertheless, the trend is quite interesting. And notice the impact of COVID. So for what you can see, and this data comes from Partech and Africa Arena, shows a steady increase into 2020, a drop as a result of COVID in investment levels. And we're talking here about, in 2020, $2 billion of investment into VC in Africa. This represents roughly 1% of global VC trends. We're talking about $250 to $300 billion of VC investment globally, of which only about 1% is coming into Africa. And 40% decrease is estimated roughly to take place as a result of the COVID pandemic, and with a hopeful return to increased growth in 2021 and 2022. If we look at funding per country in terms of, again, VC capture, we can see that the following 4 countries or countries are leading the race, with Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt, and South Africa at the lead. Ghana is in 6th place, receiving approximately $55 million in funding in 2019. And the top funded verticals that interest investors in the digital economy in Africa are financial technology services, off-grid tech, that would be clean tech that is available as a result of, let's say, payment systems that allow consumers to buy on credit in some cases, let's say solar panels and other renewable energy facilities and services. Enterprise, so that's basically companies. Health tech, the shared economy, so for example, Uber-like activities or Airbnb type activities, and so on. Electronic commerce is further down the list here with 6.6% of the investment coming in. So the focus in Africa is on the digital economy in terms of these investments, with fintech and off-grid and health and enterprise accounting for the large majority of this investment. When it comes to supporting digital entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general on the continent, various estimates have been made of the number of so-called tech hubs. These are either business incubators, business accelerators, in some cases fund managers that are focused specifically on startups and supporting them. The data here suggests it's about 643 startups across the continent, largely concentrated in Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt, Ghana, for example, as well, South Africa, and so on. But in fact, the estimates are probably much larger than that. I was in South Africa in March of this year, where I met with the officials involved in innovation, science, and technology in Gauteng province, and they estimated that there's at least 500 of these so-called enterprise support organizations in that very one province. So the estimate, I think, is rather limited. There's much more activity in this space than otherwise known. When I was at the African Development Bank, we had estimated over 1,000 of these enterprise support organizations, not all of which are focused on tech. So what is driving digital economy and digital economy entrepreneurship in Africa? Well, of course, there's the usual digital trends, virtualization, which has been accelerated by the COVID pandemic. As an alternative to face-to-face, virtualization has taken place in many parts of the world, and also to some extent in Africa, although Africa's COVID rates are certainly by no means similar to those in the countries of the North. But still, there has been a significant impact. Africa is digitizing, I think, fairly quickly as a result of increased demand and increased connectivity. There's a steady supply of young entrepreneurs who are interested, willing, and able to launch ventures. And there are several tech hotspots. And in fact, most of digital entrepreneurship is focused on these tech hotspots. And I mentioned some of those countries just in the previous slide. And the regulatory environment is changing. It started with, let's say, mobile money in Kenya, which resulted in a fairly significant success in that country. 83% of the population is now using digital financial services of one type or another, and that's a significant achievement in itself. We're seeing these financing trends also changing. Private sector financing is responsible for the vast majority of investment in developing countries. One would have thought that overseas development assistance is important and government funding as well, but private sector funding is increasingly becoming a source of importance, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship and investment. And of course, there's consumer demand. So what are the biggest opportunities? My view is that while we have fintech and a growth in various payment systems as a result of the availability of mobile platforms, you can only grow the economy so much by improving payments. What you really have to do, in my opinion, is encourage buy and sell, i.e. trading and selling online, preferably. As more people come online, especially if informal economy participants, traders come online, as has been done, for example, in China to great success, you can really tackle problems like poverty, and through the digitization of trade and the diffusion of e-commerce, the impact can be quite significant. And the Chinese example is a lesson to be learned. The other reason to consider e-commerce as a significant opportunity for entrepreneurs is that it's growing significantly. Just take a look at retail sales. So we're talking trillions of dollars of opportunity, and we're looking at the following trend rate in terms of adoption of online retailing or of e-commerce. So if we look at the numbers worldwide in this slide, we see that there are significant numbers, and that Africa and the Middle East are at the very early stage with $18.6 billion estimated value of e-commerce in Africa presently. This is from Shopify, one of the major online service providers, e-commerce service providers. So how can entrepreneurs in Africa take advantage of this e-commerce opportunity? Well, by enhancing digital trading platforms, by enhancing open markets. The Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is a major opportunity. The biggest problem in Africa is, in terms of e-commerce, is that it's local. It works best in national contexts, but when it comes to cross-border, there are all kinds of issues associated with taxes, customs, and so on that impede the free flow of goods that are necessary for e-commerce to thrive. So importance of the free trade agreement and of adopting WTO compliant free trade policies. And also to assist traders in Africa to access markets beyond the continent. And then the important thing, of course, as well to also track e-commerce trends. So, for example, right now in China, live streaming is considered a particularly important trend to enhance market reach of small traders. And that is an opportunity that can be exploited here. The problem, of course, is that many traders, whether formal or informal, are not that familiar with e-commerce. And so to strengthen the adoption of e-commerce in the informal sector and otherwise, we need to strengthen the capacity of these intermediaries. Now, let me just go back to this. So these enterprise support organizations. So we need to support and promote e-commerce focused business incubators and business accelerators and associated training programs. So B2C e-commerce, of the various types of e-commerce that we can be looking at, B2C, that's business to consumer e-commerce, is important. It's a $4.5 trillion market opportunity in 2021. And there's various types of e-commerce applications that are available in the market. One is e-commerce marketplaces. And the most important ones in Africa are Jumia, Wedknis, Gumtree Souk, and OLX. Jumia is a Pan-African one. Udnis and Souk, I believe, are in the MENA countries. And there's several numbers of these, but the most important ones attract the top 1% of these platforms, attract 60% of web visitors. But the other aspect of e-commerce that I don't think has been sufficiently taken advantage of by entrepreneurs is online shops. That's online shops. So the African equivalents of Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, and so on, which are e-commerce platforms that focus on delivering services to online shops. That's individual shops. In Africa, Paystack, for example, is a Nigerian firm which has just been purchased by Stripe, a global payment gateway, is a facilitator of Shopify platforms and within the continent. And the data I've seen by looking at web analytics suggests that there's over 8,000, for example, 500 or 400 Shopify-powered storefronts in South Africa and over 375 in Kenya. And there's even more for some of these other brands. So the e-commerce potential for online shops and individual traders is significant, and I believe it's underexploited in the African context. The other really significant opportunity is business-to-business e-commerce, and that has to do with traders providing goods and services to other traders. And examples include in Africa, Sofco Watch in East Africa, Twiga Foods in Kenya, and Max AB in Egypt. The other big opportunity is in electronic procurement. This is a huge opportunity. Electronic procurement applies both to the private sector and to government. So in government, for example, in a private sector, in Ghana, for example, we were looking at this earlier this year in some of the work I was doing at the bank. The mining sector in Ghana is a significant player, Ghana being, among other things, the second largest producer of gold in Africa. So it's a very significant marketplace. It's been suggested by increasing procurement, i.e. the procurement of goods and service upon which the Ghanaian-based mining and minerals market depends, by increasing local procurement by 25% in the mining sector across certain categories, the value add to the economy would increase by about $50 million economy, and indirect employment would be even further increased. So the basic proposal here is to continue or to encourage open contracting principles in private sector procurement that will enhance competition and provide more opportunities for local entrepreneurs. And there's references to this in the attached PowerPoint presentation that I'll share later on. The other big area, which I'll conclude on, has to do with government to business procurement. Now, the government of Ghana has an e-procurement platform, as I understand. And globally, this is a very significant market. We're talking about $10 trillion per year of public procurement. In Ghana, government spending accounts for 23.6% of GDP, and much of that is made available through a procurement platform. In order for that procurement platform to have the greatest impact possible on SMEs and startups, certain recommendations can be made in terms of the operation and the governance of the e-procurement process. So open and fair and equitable platform. In other words, anybody can compete as long as they're properly registered with the authorities. It's important to adhere in this sense into open contracting principles, and those are can be found in the Open Contracting Partnership, which is an endeavor that is supported by various donor agencies and other development actors. Look at targeted procurement policies to support startups, diversify public procurement market opportunities when open procurement policies are put in place and procurement platforms are available on a fair and equitable basis. They represent a significant opportunity for SMEs. They help to diversify the procurement market opportunities and more sharing of the pie that is associated with government spending. More competition increases transparency and accountability. And from the government's perspective, it decreases the cost of procurement and improves the quality of procurement, largely as a result of more competition. So what are the overall results sought from all of these endeavors? Well, more jobs, greater investor readiness, more inclusive economic development, more innovation impact, and more social impact. Thank you. That's what I wanted to cover. Basically, it's a fair amount. Thank you for this opportunity again from our friends Idem and Esther at the WTC, and I look forward to further discussion and question and answer. Thank you so much, Idem, and back to you.
Thank you, Richard. I have a few questions for you, but I'd like us to proceed straight into the next presentation. So, Christine, if you're with us, I'd like to hand over to you now. And after your presentation, Richard, I'll give you your questions.
That's fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So today I will be talking about the digital use, the indigenous use of digital technologies and providing key case studies with Africa Hacks, which is a social innovative platform for people of African descent. So I will start by sharing my screen. So I will start by just a quick introduction on the video, on an animated video we made, and I just want to let me know if you can. Welcome to Africa Hacks. We make it easy for anyone to build a company. Running our platform and apps, you can create a business, learn, get mentorship, and connect with friends and supporters. As an African youth and youth of African descent, you get everything you need to create a company and low cost to you. At every stage of your creation and career process, Africa Hacks and the Africa Hacks community will be there for you. And because we are a group of diverse youth with tech experience, we know what's needed. So we support innovation and community organized hackathons. We also open up a startup sandbox that enables speed. Wait, were you able to see? Hello?
No, Christine.
The video hung after a while, so we're unable to see. I think that it's better to proceed with your presentation.
That's fine. Okay, just want to ensure that's okay. I can share that link with you after. And can you see my presentation now? So you can see the presentation?
No, we can't see the presentation. It's still, I think, the video. Yeah, okay.
Okay, perfect. So basically, we are an innovative platform for people of African descent. We know that a large population with high potential is an opportunity for fast company and creation. In the publication, Africa Hacks Digital Economies, Opportunity and Obstacles during the COVID-19, we saw how digital economies growth in Africa has the potential to transform everything from election, mobile payment to agriculture. The widespread adoption of digital technology is supported by the fact that access to the internet is a more efficient way of doing business to help Africa's struggling economies. So Kenya, for example, will benefit from policy that promoted education, digital skill, like Richard mentioned today. Egypt will become a global leader in reducing internet censorship, and South Africa could make digital skill an essential element of its economic strategy. So basically what we are an innovation platform whereby we invite people of African descent, so African youth, to join the platform and have an opportunity to join one of our innovation challenges. And during our innovation challenges, we actually partner up with technology company that are providing the infrastructure to allow the youth to be able to build the product through mentorship and also through workshop and training. We also do have in our platform embedded e-learning platform, allowing the African youth to go into the platform and get the training that they need, whether it's to start in startups or just to, upskills and, get a new job or whatnot. So Africa has the digital platform for everyone. And the whole idea is to accelerate the creativity of people of African descent so that they can build a company to make their lives, that of family and the world better. So as we know, Google and IFC recently released this research and really looking at the 180 billion internet economy future in Africa. So what we're doing is we're really using our platform to push our entrepreneurs to think about how can they create a startup that will allow person A and person B to exchange through e-commerce or to exchange of program services or whatsoever. So because we really see that there's a huge opportunity, like every other speaker mentioned today, and we want to tap into that, whether it's by creating a tech talent, building digital connectivity, or actually training those talents in order for them to become entrepreneur, with many examples that we had in the continent. The platform is actually built by African youth and youths that are into the tech space, myself, my co-founder, and other people. But it actually really started because my co-founder is an example on how being able to go through those innovation challenges and use the indigenous use of technology and going to a hackathon to further his career, but also being able to file different content was really inspiring as the foundation of our platform. So what we do there and the programs and services that we offer is that we just don't want to create this example for ourselves. We also want to create a community and be able to cultivate the next community. We see that a lot of the innovation hub that's happening currently in Africa are all physical. So we saw that during the pandemic that it was getting a bit harder to get to that ideation process. So for us, we had to pivot all of our strategy and we brought all of our services online. And we also want to ensure that other community are also able to do that. In doing so, we have e-learning platform and innovation and startup sandbox, really pointing at different application. We mentioned how internet is for me, I consider that internet in Africa should be a right. And we're also looking into, building a policy that will allow internet to be a right for everyone to have. We saw how in North America, during the pandemic, all the school went online. So in that case, what could happen in Africa if we get internet for all youths? We will no longer need to reach those schools that are very in the very rural spaces. But what we could do is to have this platform and actually enable data capacity. So we actually have the ability to provide airtime and data to participants to the hackathon through our APIs. We have a personal AI profile that are actually matching teams and profile amongst themselves. So to create an innovation and to join an innovation, and if you don't have a team to start your startups, we actually matching you in terms of like your skill set, in terms of like your interests and so forth. So really, we're really building that ecosystem to enable entrepreneurship. So this is kind of our website, how it looks like, and it's just a website, and the actual demo and the software is within. So our mission is to really create a digital economy platform for everyone to build startups and learn new skills. We want to be a knowledge sharing platform that accelerates the creativity of people of African descent so that they can build a company and make their lives and that of the family and the world better. Our achievements so far, we've actually launched in the middle of a pandemic, so it was in April, and we have so far 17,000 users
based on our different events and partnership that we had throughout the past 10 months. We actually very proud to say that we have 31% of our users are women, and this is a tech narrow space. We are projecting to have 50% by 2021 because that's one of our biggest mission. The country that we've touched so far are 15 countries. We are predominantly in Nigeria, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, Cameroon, Congo, Senegal. I can go on and on and on, but we also want to ensure, like I'm a Francophone speaker, so we also want to ensure that our platform is available in different languages in Africa. So we're going next into French, and then after we'll also speak Spanish and Portuguese. So we're going to go to those two other languages, and continuing to connect with other community-based organizations that are doing this similar work and want to digitalize the innovation process. So we actually have an upcoming innovation competition where we're inviting youths under 30 to join the competition, and all of our partners that we're working on with, they're coming in with their technology for free and asking those youth to use the technology to empower them. So the whole idea there is to really enhance the entrepreneurship experiences via digital technology brought by our partner, and we use this in the context of innovation competition, but we just don't leave our participant, okay, I just have a project and that's about it. No, we then take them on next year, a couple of months after the competition, into our accelerator or incubator program, actually using all of our partners accelerator that we have. So we leverage the knowledge of all the innovator accelerator out there to invite our participants to all of those different events. That's kind of how we want to drive a tech adoption, and also at the same time nurture entrepreneurship ecosystem for people of African descent, African youths. Our upcoming initiative, we actually work in collaboration with Honorable Richard Bell, who is the High Commissioner of Canada to Cameroon, but also Ambassador to Central African Republic, Chad, and Gabon. And for us, really, we want to really create those dynamics. So we are based in Canada. We want to create those dynamics whereby we are building those innovation amongst two different, let's say Canada and African for distance in those countries, and see what can we do for the entrepreneur living there, and how can we leverage the innovation ecosystem amongst Canada and Africa to make it better. So that's kind of about us. If you want to follow us on our social media, it's Africa Hacks _Africa_Hacks. Our website is africahacks.com, and my email is Christine at africahacks.com. Thank you very much. And if there's any question, I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. And in the future, we will be looking at how we can cooperate with you to promote your platform and to promote your initiatives, especially because you have that Africa focus, which is very dear to the work which is very central to the work that we do at the World Trade Center Accra. Our last presentation is a 2-in-1 presentation by Francesca, and Francesca is from the University of Udine or Udinese in Italy, and she'll be doing this presentation together with Giada, who are also one of our partners. MyNet is also one of our partners for this event. They came to us through our partnership with World Trade Center Trieste, I have to mention. So I'll hand over now to Giada. Giada, go ahead and take over from me.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet all of you. I will immediately start with the speech of the Professor Visintin Francesca. I share the screen. I share the video. Let me know if you can see.
Okay, good morning to everybody. My name is Francesca Visintin. I am professor of organizational studies at the University of Udine in Italy. I'm here today to speak about institutions and internal communication. Generally speaking, institutions adopting a wide definition, therefore including both public and private organizations, and therefore also business companies, play a central role in the development of a country. To play a central role, however, they really need to be well-functioning, because if they are well-functioning, they can promote growth and reduce poverty by providing a fertile environment for the implementation of sustainable development programs and also for the flourishing of private economic activities. The development of strong institutions in the African countries, in order to become well-functioning institutions, they really need to improve their productivity, which means, as the empirical evidence shows, that they need to develop a good management of human resources and a well-organized set of processes. Both the management of human resources and the organization of lean processes have appreciated in the past 10 years the positive impact of ICTs, and in particular of the so-called enterprise mobile applications. These systems, besides giving a strong impact in terms of improvement of efficiency and of effectiveness to the human resource management systems itself, to the offices that deal with human resource management, can play a significant role in streamlining the processes and in developing a well-functioning system. In particular, enterprise mobile applications in the past years have played a significant role in the development of the internal communication systems. Internal communication systems that are really important and have proved to have a strong impact in the increase in productivity of the companies and other types of organization. This is because these type of systems, besides transferring technical and useful information to the employees, they can also transfer other type of knowledge, particularly concerning the culture, the image and the mission of the organization, thereby in this way contributing to increase the engagement of the employees, contributing to the creation of an engaged community. There is strong evidence that there is a connection between internal communication systems, the engagement of the employees, and the productivity of individuals. As shown by a group of researchers of the Queensland University of Technology, based on a study of 2,000 employees of Australian companies, internal communication systems account for nearly 30% in the variance of the employee engagement, and this variance then has a strong impact on productivity, on work processes, and also on the financial returns of the company. For example, in a study by researchers of the University of Nebraska, it is shown that mobile technologies improve significantly the internal communication and knowledge sharing, much more than traditional systems, and increase the satisfaction, the commitment, and the business identification of the employees. At the moment, there are no studies about enterprise mobile applications in Africa and their impact in productivity. This makes me think that probably they're not widespread, their adoption is still not widespread, but I expect an increase in the next 10 years, an exponential increase in connection with the diffusion of mobile phones in the region. This is very important this is a very good news for the institutions, because while other instruments of internal communication, particularly based on traditional non-mobile tools, can require specialistic competencies, mobile apps tend to speak similar languages, which means that the already active population in the mobile technology is already capable of using the enterprise mobile applications. A research by UNESCO shows that cell phones have increased, the number of people using cell phones have increased so much that it's already having an impact on the literacy of individuals in these regions, whereby sometimes phones are even more widespread than books. So this is an important information for the institutions of this region, and very good news in terms of their expected increase in productivity. So I leave now the floor to Giada Gervasi for the study for the case study of MyNet, and I say goodbye and thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak at this event.
Okay, I'm back to you. You should see me and hear me. Okay. I'm Giada Gervasi. I'm an innovation manager collaborating with the Professor Visintin Francesca. And I'm working mainly on the application of the trends, the processes as she just described us. So let's say on the operational translation of all of this. And today I would like to introduce you the case of MyNet, that is just an example of a possible application, a possible solution. Maybe it's a good example, something interesting for you, can give you some ideas and a clear case study on which you can think. I share with you now a different presentation, the presentation of this solution, so you can better follow me. Of course, tell me if you have problems in hearing, in seeing the desktop, otherwise I will go on. Well, I said I would like to introduce you this case that goes alongside with the phenomenon of adoption, increasing adoption of mobile phone that the professor already explained us. We are speaking about a 20% growth every year, and up to now 80% of adults in Africa have a mobile phone. And so maybe one of the next steps after this adoption of mobile phone may be the use of tools, information technologies tools, such as this one, that can be used by the companies, promoted by organizations, institutions, to encourage and increase the communication inside an organization, inside a company, or maybe within a network that could be also an external network, maybe with the customers, suppliers, members, and so on. The case I will introduce you now, it's MyNet case. It's a quite young company and app, but it's widespread in Italy, and it's also growing fast now at international level, so could be a good case. And it's a corporate app. This app is meant to manage human resources, to manage communication, organization, and share of information inside a company, as I told you, or within a network, and also to support and digitalize the main processes we may have inside an organization. It is available on mobile phone, this is the most important fact, but also on desktop, because there are some administrators, somebody that has to manage the contents or the requests arriving from every user of the app, and probably these administrators prefer to manage from the desktop. So of course there is also the desktop solution for MyNet. It is already available in the main stores, so Apple Store and Google Play. Now let's go a little bit more in detail of some important aspects, because maybe the most important one, in my opinion, is the graphic identity point. When I speak about corporate app, I mean that what you see here, MyNet logo, the colors, the fonts, will disappear and leave space to the company appearance. It's important, in my opinion, it's important that an app takes the look of the company. because it is an important corporate promotion tool. It creates engagement in employees. An employee or a member of the network will feel that that organization created something for him, tailored to get closer to him. And this is an important message. Then another critical point is to have something very useful, user-friendly and easy to use. And I think you should not need a training for a new IT tool. In this case, we have a socially inspired user experience. So it's like using Facebook, something you already know, you don't need training. Then, of course, there are some technical aspects that are linked also with the speeches of the colleagues that speak before me. And so there is the compliance with the general data protection standards. It is a cloud platform, maybe also installed on premise, but we discourage it. Me as an innovation manager discourage it. You can choose the modules you need and you prefer. This is another important trend. We have on most IT solutions. They are composed by many modules, and you and every company can choose only those that needs. Maybe later we'll add some more modules. So it's something that you can customize the final match of modules and each module is inside. It can be integrated with any possible external platform IT system that a company may have already, and this is also very important. And also incorporates, in this case, an analytic area, so you have always the control on the usage of this app. How many users are using that module? Which are the KPI, for example, the engagement rate? This is also important, so the company will understand the value of this kind of investment. Which are the benefits of this kind of instruments? For example, MyNet in this case. For sure, the decrease of management costs, because every user has in his hands the phone, and so in any place, in any moment, is able to reach somebody, a person specific, to perform an action that maybe updates immediately the final IT system. And this is very, very important for efficiency, of course. And then another important thing is the optimization of communication. Because using this kind of tools, you reduce the number of emails you are using. And for emails, you know, you receive so many. There is no push notification like in an app that alerts you only the important messages that you need to read immediately, and avoids to stress you for the others. Well, reducing the email, we also reduce the work-related stress. This is demonstrated. And this is a big benefit that you get with this kind of tool. Then, of course, it improves the team building, has impacts on the environment with some particular modules. And there is the business digitalization of processes that I already mentioned to you. Now, I want just to give you some ideas of what you can do with this kind of tools. And in this case, there are 16 modules, so really a lot of possibilities. I will go on the most important, the most used, and then in case of need for some more information, for sure there will be possibility to get in contact with the company or with me and go more in detail. The first one is the newsfeed module. It is, let's say, a company intranet, we can say. It's the place where the organization publish some articles, some important news, some media, just to highlight to the entire network, or maybe to a specific group of people, some important news. So it's a sort of a top-down communication, and the administrator, you can imagine the manager from each office, HR office, marketing office, has the possibility to share information for his area, and each one can decide if it's the case to enable a push notification for each post or not. If can be allowed the like of the post, the comment of the post, engaging so also other people, and if there is also it's the case to share outside the network with somebody that does not have the app each post. maybe it's a job search or a specific award gained by the company, so maybe it is useful. But when you don't want to speak in a top-down way, you want to communicate between people, between groups, there is a solution that is could be the chat, for example. It's very similar to what you're using, WhatsApp, Telegram, the standard instruments. And this is a way to let each people reach the other colleague. So this is also something that helps a lot, communication. And again, you can manage or not push notifications, and this impacts a lot on the work-related stress, as I told you. For companies that have employees, another option, another idea, what we are managing in many companies in Italy is the possibility to open a ticket to the human resources department just to ask for holiday, a leave, for illness, and it's very quickly so to interact and perform an action that reaches directly the person in charge. And you can also manage an approval workflow up to 3 levels in this case. So also this is a digitalization of something that otherwise goes on with several emails, so it's not for sure the best. Another good example could be this one, the possibility to clock in and clock out when you enter and you go out from an office, from a building, directly from the mobile phone, from an app. So it is to manage attendance. It is important also to know exactly how many people you have in a specific moment inside a building, inside an office. For security reasons, this may be really important. And you can do this normally with a QR code. You see now also in the print screen that I'm sharing you. So it's easy from the back office. In this case of the app, you can print a QR code. You attach it to the wall or to the door of an office, and then each user can frame the QR code with the camera of the phone. And in this way, that it's logged the fact that he or she is coming inside that office or is going out. So very easy, but very useful. And also the geolocation could be an option, maybe for people traveling and going abroad. It's another opportunity offered, for example, by this application and by others. Another important module that is part of the set of processes that normally are managed in an organization is this one, the cabinet module. It seems just a repository of files and folders, but it's not only that, actually. This is linked with several other speeches about blockchain and so on, because in this case, the specific app is also working on blockchain to trace and log and certify the fact that a user read a specific file, opened a read file, or to trace the signature, because when you publish a file here, you can ask for a confirmation with a pop-up of, okay, I read the file, or ask for the signature. And behind this, here in this case, they're working with the blockchain, they are developing blockchain technologies to support and certify this kind of actions. Moreover, for example, there are forms, so you can also use the phone and the application to collect structured information. It's like a Google form, for example, Google modules. You have a place where you can collect information from users, everything from your mobile phone in any place, in any moment. Another process that can be managed inside your phone is the one for the creation and enrolling to the training courses or to an event. It's very easy also in this case with a few clicks to create a new event or a new training course. Each person can just join. There is the join button. Inside the course, you may have all the information of the course, the material attached, you have the date, the calendar, and so you can remind about this course. And it's so easy to have the control of all this, and also for the managers who has to create, to manage the participation. So the administrator, this is very, very useful. And quite similar, it's also the booking solution from the mobile phone inside the same app. For example, you can manage the bookings and book any kind of asset or any kind of service that the company offers. It could be that you need to book a desk, you need to book a meeting room, or maybe a car, or maybe the canteen service. This can be done again with a few clicks from a specific module of the same app. And there is, again, the administrators that from the desktop solution will be able to manage, edit, approve any kind of booking. And so you have the full control. In this case, there is also the possibility to get other solutions if you don't find, for example, the car you're looking for. You find another model and not the one you're looking for. So this system gives some alternative options. And this is also good because you need to find a solution. And then we are quite at the end. We have another thing that is another, in my experience, very important aspect, because in my experience, I had also 20 different applications in my phone, every time with a different user experience, every time a different password, and it was really hard to remember. And so I did not use any one of these. Instead, you can have inside one only application the link to all the other external platforms of the company. Maybe you have a welfare portal, a business travel solution. You go inside the specific application, in this case, inside MyNet, you have a module where you find all the links to the other external platform, and the same app stores and updates the password to enter each portal, so you don't have to remember the credentials. It's very, very easy in this way. You have just one app on your phone, and this is very, very important. I think you will agree with me. Then just an example, you can now you can also manage the car sharing, so group together people that has to move from one place to the other, and this impacts, of course, on the environment, reduces pollution, of course, and also helps team building, I have to say. We have the possibility to manage surveys, so you can, in any moment, get information about the feelings, about opinions of your employees, your members, maybe concerning services offered by the company. This also is a good idea. It's something that organizations are starting caring about, trying to do, but it's different doing on paper that you have to deliver to the desk of the person and then come back to get the paper, analyze. Here it's just a few clicks, so I just want to give you the idea of the impact on efficiency and effectiveness if you use this kind of solutions. And then this is the last, and I think it's useful to give you another idea. We can apply the gaming logic. In this case, we give a reward to the best users, the more active, the more collaborative users, based on a score that the same company can set up. Maybe it's very relevant that you fill in immediately the surveys. Maybe it's important that you clock in early, whatever you want, but it gives a reward that you can upload on the app. So also this is important because it creates engagement. And up to now, just to close, we have a lot of different industries that are using, I speak for my country, of course, using this kind of solution. And my speech was to give you an overview and maybe let you think if this could be a next step and the best way to use this kind of mobile phones and new devices that are so spread now in Africa. I thank you so much for the attention. For any question, I'm available now, and of course also later in the deal room. I stop the share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kiada. We'll move straight to the deal room because we're very much behind time. But I would like to say that we will share the presentations with all the participants later. And also, if you have any questions, you may ask them in the deal room. I have, Richard, are you on the line? Is Richard Labelle here? Okay, I guess he already went into the deal room. So bye-bye everyone from here. We'll meet in the deal room. Thank you.